their win last night over Oklahoma City, but I am going to tell you nobody played for Oklahoma City last night, so I can't go crazy about that. So the Spurs and some other teams around the league become the focus here because, yes, Detroit is good. Great, actually. They have the best record in the league. They're awesome, but they didn't play a full-strength Oklahoma City team, so you can't go crazy on that one. But the Spurs have won 10 in a row. And for anybody who pays attention to the best NBA podcast that we have, which is the Hoop Collective, of course, with Brian Windhorst, Tim McMahon, Tim Bontemps, one of the big themes that they have is when they book the hotels for the finals. It's like a big declaration, right? So they book the hotel, which is the AKA, I think this team has a shot, right? Wendy, who is David, you and I are here today with Smalls. We think she likes us. She doesn't like us anywhere near the way she loves Brian Windhorst as an NBA analyst. She's obsessed with every word he says about the NBA. Well, last night, SportsCenter, Scott Van Pelt, Wendy made a big declaration.
Scott, I have an announcement.
Okay.
I have made hotel reservations in San Antonio. And the reason is because there's a certain hotel I want, number one. And I don't want you messing around. Secondly, Victor Wembanyama is so special, okay? And, my instincts of 23 years covering the NBA are a team that has never played in a playoff game together is not winning 12 playoff games in the Western Conference. That's what my instincts tell me. But then I watch Wembanyama, and I watch how these guys defend, and I am taking the impossible off the table. The last time we saw a team go from having basically no playoff experience together to reaching the finals was the Shaq team in Orlando in the 90s. I was a kid. I was in high school. I watched it, the arena, all that stuff. In fact, I saw Brian Hill last night here in L.A. Shaquille O'Neal and Victor Wembanyama, you may have a Shaquille O'Neal here. I don't know, but I'm not taking it off the table. And so I look at the Spurs very, very seriously. And they're right on the heels of the Thunder now because of all these injuries that the Thunder have. Thunder's still my number one.
Spurs, finals. He booked the hotel. David Dennis Jr., is it a legit possibility this year before they ever win a playoff series or a game as a group?
Absolutely. And from the beginning of the season, I was making the comp between Wemby and 07 LeBron and that Cavs team where – they went against the Pistons. LeBron has that 25 points in a row. They're in the finals, and it's like, whoa, you're way ahead of schedule right now. Like, you shouldn't be doing this right now. Wemby has that level of talent, but he also has a better team around him than LeBron did back then, for sure, with the guys they have. They have a better they have a defense that is just clicking on all cylinders, and they have like a poised level of winning right now. Like, they're playing like a veteran team. Last night against Toronto, they were down most of that first half. They looked like they were kind of mailing it in, and then they pulled it together and really choked out that Toronto team to get that win. They're playing like a veteran squad right now, and I know there's the experience factor that everybody's talking about, but I think that this is the year. If there is going to be a year, this is going to be a year where experience is not as important as it was in previous years.
Earlier in the week, you asked me to make a declaration about the Spurs and their chances of going to the NBA Finals, and I was hesitant to go there only because of my respect for OKC. I remember how we felt about this team a year ago. And I know that they have sustained injuries, et cetera, but we also talked yesterday about teams that have that muscle memory that can turn it on in May and June. We know teams that once we get to the playoffs know how to win, and that's the Thunder, obviously in a dominant way from last year. So the only reason I wasn't ready to go there with Wemby and this Spurs team is because of my respect for OKC. It has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm seeing from him and what I'm seeing for them. He is that special. And I believe in him, and I believe in them. And if it's not this year, it's only a matter of time. The clock is ticking for them to win a championship.
But Wendy booking the hotel, just as the example, as the faith in this, tells you something. I mean, they're plus 1,000 to get to the NBA Finals per DraftKings Sportsbook. They're behind the Thunder, number one overall, and the Nuggets, but they're ahead of the Cavs, Celtics, and Pistons. So, which is interesting because the best team in the Eastern Conference is third amongst Eastern Conference teams in terms of favorites to get to the finals. But when you look at this team, yes, they won their 10th straight last night. Wemby only scores 12 points in this game. He doesn't, which is remarkable. 8 rebounds, only 30 minutes. I mean, they have a deep team, as David mentioned, and they have one of my favorite things in basketball and in sports in general is when the first round talent at some point in their life understands what their first round talent is. because I think a lot of guys come into the NBA thinking, oh, I'm going to score 20 a game. And the moment the first-round talent realizes, oh, I can do all these other things and be as valuable. Examples, Aaron Gordon with Denver was a top 10-5 pick in the draft. Probably came into the league thinking, I'm going to dominate offensively. He's a great defensive player, 3-and-D guy. Love that guy. Derek White with the Celtics, same kind of thing. The Spurs are starting to have that a little bit, right? I mean, if you think about Keldon Johnson was once their guy, and now he's a bench player for them, 6th man of the year kind of. He's not going to win that, but you get what I'm saying. Even Steph Castle was the rookie of the year. And he understands he's not the main guy on this team, that he's a complimentary piece, and he's okay with it. Devin Vassell, another first-round pick who is a 3-and-D kind of player. Like, they have a lot of guys who understand their role, which means you have to give credit to a guy that no one knows exists in Mitch Johnson, their head coach. Like, he deserves – that guy replaced Pop.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know the name that I'm saying right now, and he came in and he replaced Pop seamlessly. And, you know, he started last year as kind of the interim coach because the unfortunate health scares that Coach Popovich had. But I just think, David, when you look at this team, if you believe in them to get to the finals, it's not only the greatness of Wemby, and he is unbelievable. He's a generational talent. Let me factually say this. There will never be another player like Victor Wembanyama. Never. But the beauty of this, the reason the 07 Cavs comp, you're rightfully walking us through why it's not perfect anymore, is because of all these first-round talents understanding their roles now.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you look at somebody like Stephon Castle, this dude is a tremendous defender. Like, we're talking about the Spurs, for all the talk about what Wemby's doing, they may have 2 all-defense guys on their roster as starters, both of them under the age of, like, 22 or 23, right? Like, Stephon Castle, what he did with Cade Cunningham the other night, I think Cade Cunningham was like 5 for 20 or something like that. The way that he hounds him, the way he's hounded the best defenders, best offensive players in the league, those are his biggest, the matchups he has the longest are great offensive players. Come playoff time, you could talk about experience, you could talk about jitters, the shots may not fall, but what we've seen, especially in these last couple of games, Wemby has not had great offensive games. They found ways to win, and a lot of that is what they're doing defensively. When you have Castle who can guard your best player, when you have a defensive scheme that can get rid of some of your best players, and you got a guy like Wemby who you can maybe hide on an offensive player who's not going to score a ton like they did with Asar Thompson in Detroit, and a guy in Wemby who you can stay in the paint and then run out and block threes if a guy is open. Like, we've never seen anything like this, and he's leading the league in what I like to call the hell nah, which means that when you see Wemby in the paint, you say hell nah and do not even try to shoot. Like, they are disruptive as a defensive team, which I think is something that you do not see a lot with a squad that is this young.
Okay, so we are very excited about Wemby. We're talking about the defense on the Spurs. We're talking about the hell nah effect here. What's the reason why they wouldn't get there?
There's no experience, and this sport doesn't allow for that. That's why Wendy said what he said, right? When you think back to the Magic with Shaq back in the day, you think about how early that was in their process. And the reason that they wouldn't get there would be Oklahoma City's a defending champ, and they've been there and done that, and that Denver is not that far removed from a championship, and they are a very good team, and Minnesota's been in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. And if you believe in Houston, which is tricky because Houston should be really good in terms of a playoff performing team, but without Fred VanVleet, their point guard all year, I don't know about them. And I'll make another statement. They're 3 games over 500 right now, but if Steph comes back, I'm just never going to rule out the Warriors. I'm just not going to do that. And if they're in the play-in and the San Antonio Spurs have to play the Warriors in the first round of the playoffs, that's not the matchup you want. I don't care what the regular season would have said. The level of experience and the differential in the level of experience between those two teams, I'm sorry. If Steph Curry is breathing and he's on the court, I'm going to think he's going to win a playoff series.
Yeah, I mean, the Steph's averaging, 45 points against this Spurs team. Is
that good?
That's pretty good. That's pretty decent. They played him on a sort of a home and home, a back-to-back, and he had 40-some points in each of those games. I mean, and they won, I believe, both of those games, right? So, the Warriors, that was a different squad. They had Jimmy Butler in those games. They had Jonathan Kuminga. I know Small's excited about that.
Very
excited. That was sort of a different Warriors team. We don't even know what they look like with Porzingis right now. But I just think that this Spurs team, we're talking experience, this Spurs team, Wemby played maybe the most important game in basketball history in the last 20 years, which is the gold medal game. And that Spurs team, what we saw with them in the Emirates Cup, that was a team that knows how to elevate for a playoff series. That game against the Thunder was an elevation come playoff time. Now, I know it's not a big sample size, but we've seen that this squad can play playoff-level basketball.
All right, we could do hours on what you just said. The most important game in the last 20 years, 2016 Game 7 Cavs-Warriors, is not more important than that game? We don't have time for that now, but you and I should fight about that at some point on the air. I'm just saying.
That was one of yes, that was probably in NBA and basketball history, it's the most important game in 21st century. But we're talking Olympics gold medal. That may be right there with it.
All right, we don't have time for this right this second. We do have time for H&R Block, though, Smalls.